Good morning, good morning. A little bit of a quick microphone check. How are we all doing today? 20 seconds, let's go. Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome, welcome. How are we all doing today? It is Monday again. I love Mondays. Most people get to hate Mondays, but I enjoy Mondays. Coffee Club, shout out to you all. The brown, warm liquid of life. Yes, need it this morning. How are we all doing? Did we all have a good weekend? Did we all make millions of gold? The weekend is an incredible time to make gold in World of Warcraft, simply because there's just so many people playing. The auction house is always really, really busy. It's a shame I don't necessarily actually get to spend as much time playing at the weekend, but it's all good, all the same. My camera's a bit funky. What's going on with this? Let's bring that in a little bit. Or is it maybe I'm just a bit high? Ooh. Maybe that's better. Now we're looking good. Excellente, excellente. So, today, a few things. First things first. We need to get this last character to level 50. Very first thing. This will allow some caffeine to kick in. Allow me to sort of become a real person again. And once we've got this dude finished, it's literally half a bar. It's nothing crazy. We can take a little bit of a looky at the weekly economy wrap up that Samadan posts on Wowhead. I like to check through that every Monday morning, and we can go through what's been going on last week, as there's likely a few things I've missed. Paul, good morning to you. Welcome to Coffee Club. Shout out. Anybody wants that fantastic little coffee cup next to their name, they support the stream. You can click the join button down below. Welcome, welcome. Been maxing some professions, old and the current content, and doing some transmog selling. That sounds fantastic. That sounds exactly like you should be doing at the weekend. Like I said, I didn't actually get to play a whole bunch this weekend. But this weekend was DIY week. I had to install a sliding door. Woo! Everybody loves some DIY. It's got to be done. Got to be done. But yeah, I still think that the getting your professions up and running is super valuable to be doing right now. We've had a fair bit of time. Considering we still don't have a we still don't have a expansion launch announcement yet, which is odd. I would kind of have hoped that we would at least by now, considering wasn't the game meant to come out? The game was originally scheduled to come out tomorrow, I think, and obviously it's been delayed. And I was sort of hoped by now we'd have had an announcement telling us when it's going to be. But hey ho, what can we do? What's everybody saying? Primal Warner, welcome, welcome. Aurora, welcome. LVD87, welcome, welcome. I think I've said hi to most people. Good to see you all. Haven't had time to do anything. Was at work a lot. Yeah. Busy. I understand. Man, this hour is murder for someone from Cali. Yeah, I do have a slight issue on my hands that my streaming schedule is less than favourable for anybody across the pond. My streaming schedule works alright for people in the EU, but of course I'm in the EU myself, and streaming during the day like this is definitely limiting the amount of people that can come and join live. I appreciate it's like 1 o'clock in the morning or something, I believe, over in the States right now. So I know you guys have a few different time zones, but the likelihood is that this is pretty tragic in for people over in the States. But unfortunately, this is the schedule I have to keep with. I've been thinking about doing some sort of bonus mini streams in the evening. If I do the bonus mini streams, I'll probably actually do those on my Twitch channel rather than on my YouTube channel, but we'll have to see. Twitch.tv/Manthieus. Exactly the same, for those who wanted to know. But that's not decided. I'm going to keep to my regular schedule here on YouTube, Monday through till Friday. Keep everything going, ticking across nicely. We're starting to see some nice, a nice amount of regulars in the chat, which is very, very positive for me to see. We've had a great month for the channel. Over 500 new subscribers to the YouTube channel this month, which is crazy good. I really wasn't expecting so many of you guys to be willing to hit the subscribe button. Simply on the premise that that as a ratio compared to the amount of views my videos got is really, really good. I don't particularly want to bore you guys too much with YouTube stats, as it's only a personal thing to me rather than yourselves, but it's I've been very surprised with the support, so thank you all of you guys, especially you lot that are very regular names in the chat, and I definitely do appreciate the support. You can check blacksmithing of Cataclysm and Pandaria. The transmog are selling like hot buns. Transmog now, we're at that time where people are slowly starting to come back to the game, and what you tend to find at this period, especially now that people are coming back to the game because we've had pre-patch, but people are not sort of they're in that preparation mode. Hence, well, realistically you should be because it's pre-patch, but people kind of get into that mode of, right, well, what do I still have to do in what do I still need to complete for Battle for Azeroth? And I sort of touched on this a little bit in my last video that I posted. I think it was on Friday. That people are in that mindset now of just trying to complete BFA. They're trying to get all of those last achievements done. They're trying to maximise their professions. They're cleaning out their guild banks. They're doing everything that they can just to sort of make sure that they're ready to hit the ground running as soon as we do get access to Shadowlands. And one of those things is going to be like just ticking off those last boxes in your collections tab. I mean, most people will. I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different tabs down here, and there's lots of people out there that would like to have everything filled out. I am not one of those when it comes to appearances. You'll see I have a ridiculously low amount of transmog sets. I think I've completed 1 out of 42 transmog sets. Transmog is not for me. Interestingly, people were commenting on my videos, on my video that I posted on Friday, just how obvious it was that I don't give a shit about transmog. Transmog for me is a cool way to craft items and to find items to sell to others. I very rarely am interested in using them myself. But there are people that want to tick off every single one of these boxes and have all of the appearances available to them. And yeah, those old world stuff is likely to then be sort of those last few things that they potentially need. I mean, there's hundreds of appearances that people don't have. And there's a good amount of people that enjoy spending their time going through this, just kind of, you know, just completing stuff. The completionism aspect, and I must admit, big shout out to Asmongold on this one. He is so heavily an advocate of all the things and just collecting everything, and it's infectious. It means that everybody else wants to try and do it as well. Obviously, Asmongold does his transmog competitions. It's hard to deny he is such a influential character for World of Warcraft now, simply because his viewer base is massive. So yes, his transmog competitions alone probably keep people like Student Albatross wealthy. So it's crazy. With me, it's always sell it or keep it, which means sometimes I farm some extra for myself. Well, that's kind of the theory for me with Golden Mane, the world drop mount. This expansion, I've had it drop a couple of times, but every time I've had it, I've been like, oh, it's still worth like 200k on the auction house. That's like a whole token. That's a whole month's worth of game time for one of my accounts, and so I've always chose to sell it rather than to actually learn it myself. And I kind of, I'm either gonna have to farm it up before we go into Shadowlands, or I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and buy it off the auction house, which is a bit odd considering I've farmed it up a few times already, but you know, needs must. Yes, we're gonna get this guy who's got like quarter level. This is the last character I need to get to level 50, and then I'll have one of every single character going into Shadowlands. I kind of claimed I had that already in my last video and just sneakily didn't show you the Death Knight sat at the bottom with only 49 out of 50 levels. So a slight little white lie there, but no harm done. I can't be bothered with fighting things, so we'll just ignore things that are going to aggro. Yeah, I'm quite excited to get onto the weekly economy. What does Samadan call it? The weekly economy wrap up or something. I can never remember exactly what it's called. There's always some very interesting information that comes out of those. He obviously does a very good job of keeping his eye on the subreddit. That seems to be where he sources most of his information. And yes, I spend a good amount of time on the subreddit myself. A lot of you guys may even have found my channel from some of my comments and threads on the subreddit. Of course, the subreddit I'm talking about is the WoW Economy subreddit. But there's a lot of good information there. Evening from Australia, all over the globe today. Loving it. Welcome, welcome. How far have we got? We got 120k out of 150k. We're getting there. Getting there. Almost done. There should be some like 100 point achievement for maxing every character. But there's not, but there should be. Can I grab this one without getting aggroed? Hopefully. Yeah, I like to go into an expansion with as many characters maxed out as possible. It's only been more possible to do this time for me, simply on the basis that we've had the level squish, and leveling now is just a joke in how fast it is. It was a weird move, I think, for Blizzard to give us a level squish, but to also make the leveling twice as fast at the same time. As it somewhat directly goes against the fact that they try and sell boosts in the shop for like $60. Now, arguably, the fact you can level in half the time you used to be able to, the value of that boost is basically been cut in half, just simply on the premise of that you'd buy the boost to save yourself the time, and now you're only saving half as much time. Which you'd kind of think that they could drop the boost down to like $30 or something maybe. Ultimately, out of choice, I'd rather the boost wasn't in the game at all. But that's not really our choice. But it literally is all around the globe. It's lunchtime. Oh wow, okay. So yeah, we are dealing all around the globe today. Ben, welcome to my man. Welcome, welcome. Oh, we're almost there. We got like 2 bars to go. 2 bars to go. Also gives people a chance to hit up the stream. It usually takes 20 minutes, half an hour for everybody to turn up, for everybody to come in, say hello. Peak concurrents usually take about 30-40 minutes. So I thought I'd give people a bit of an opportunity to come join the stream before we go over the good stuff. There's a herb around here and I can't see it. Where is it? There's sometimes on the inside of these walls and I can't spot it. Ah, there it is. She be hiding. But it's crazy. In fairness, this is with rested experience. But 1600 experience per node. I mean, that is just bonkers. It sort of feels like cheating. It's this fast now. Man, I need some coffee as well. It's not even lunch. Hey, coffee is what makes the world go round. Without coffee in the morning, I am not a human being. I fully appreciate the need for coffee in the morning. So, shout out all my coffee club. 1 bar to go. Few more herbs. Let's see if we can find an anchor weed or 2. Although saying that, I realised I looked at I'm obviously not collecting these herbs for any reason apart from the experience. I looked at anchorweed. Anchorweed on my server is down to 16 gold. It was down to 10 gold the other day. It was ridiculously cheap. I mean, obviously it's the end of the expansion. Nobody cares about it, but it was still funny to see just how cheap it got. You're not even using the EXP potion from the service medals? Yeah, no. I'm really... I could even be doing this faster if I wanted to, but simply having rested experience is pretty much enough. just got into battle pets in late 8.3, and now I'm addicted to battle pets. There are so many pets from each expansion, and now I see why some of the pets are so expensive. Yeah, a lot of people that haven't really got into the battle pet market as such just think, oh, it's just Pokemon, you just go out and collect them. But some of them are rare and some of them are expensive for good reason. The fact that they're a pain in the ass to get. This is why Hallow's End is an amazing time for those 3 pets that are sold in Hallow's End, which yes, Hallow's End goes on until we've got a week left of Hallow's End. So I know we focused on it early last week, but go out, get your tricky treats, buy those pets from the vendor. It's the only time of the year you can buy them, and they're actually some of the better pets for battling. So having a few of them, I need to check the auction house price of them actually. They were sat at about 40 to 50k gold when the event started. I'll check again in a minute and we'll see just what they're down to, as they naturally decrease in price quite heavily during the event, simply as people look to see how they can spend their tokens, and they buy a few pets and try and get some quick gold for them by selling them cheaper on the auction house now. But the real gold to be made is like buying a handful of them up now and then selling them like slowly throughout the next year. I mean that mantra is the same for any rare item. Acquire it in mass while you can, and then sell it to people that want it when it's not available. And we snag this one. Oh, is this going to be the one that dings us? Are we going to ding on a monolite deposit? Boom! Level 50. That is then officially a level 50 of every class in the game. Woo! How about that for an achievement? Let's go clean our bags up and send our things to whoever needs them. This is arguably the last time we're going to log on to this character now for a long time, but we'll clean up the bags quickly and then we'll get on to the weekly economy wrap up. I'm still lost how to price each of the pets. Just go by what the market price is, really. If you're really interested on a specific pet, then check out places like the Undermine Journal, theunderminejournal.com. Fantastic resource for gaining a good amount of information about the value of items, and especially battle pets. Since you've got the ability to find and learn a battle pet on any server, and then arguably then sell it on any server, it means that there's actually the one very common way of making a good amount of gold is to buy pets on a high population realm, as they tend to be considerably cheaper, and then take those pets and create alts on lower population realms where those pets may not be available, or if they are available, they're more valuable because they're rarer, and then sell across the servers. It does mean that you end up spreading your gold across a whole bunch of different servers, but long term, that's unless you need all of your gold on one server or one super expensive purchase, namely something like the Longboy, it doesn't really matter where your gold is. If you look to use gold to get tokens, for example, to pay for your game time or whatever, it doesn't matter what server you buy that token on. Soon as you hit 130, 200k, depending on the token price in your realm, soon as you hit that threshold, you can cash out on that server quite easily. But of course, that's a higher tier level of making gold, and it does require a reasonable amount of knowledge about the pets, and there is literally thousands of pets in the game now. I think is it somewhere along the lines of 1,600 pets or something's in the game right now. There's a lot to collect. Then again, arguably there's maybe only 30 or 40 pets that are over sort of 100k value. So there's not too much too much that you need to know about pets, because the top 5% most valuable pets are almost always going to stay that way. Only sometimes say for example if we have a new raid and it's only a pet only drops from a mythic boss, for example, and it's the current tier, then that pet is likely to be 50k, 100k in value. But then don't forget, as soon as that is no longer the current tier, that pet is going to plummet in value as more people will be able to get hold of it easier. So you only got to watch out for a few things like that. How much liquid gold is your goal to start Shadowlands with? I went into Shadowlands thinking I would like to take in 2 million gold, but that's just a personal thing. I'm not actually going to have 2 million gold by the time we get to Shadowlands, I think, but that's due to my casual multi-box addiction that I pay for with gold. So if you try and run 8 accounts with gold buying tokens, it gets kind of expensive kind of quickly. Which why I think I'm sat at about 1.5 million liquid right now. It's not a huge amount. I cashed out my gold a while back to get 8 copies of Shadowlands, so that basically burnt all of my gold. I think there's way more because recently I've hit the 1500 mark and I'm still missing a ton of them. Oh really? There's even more than that. Wow, that's crazy. The thing is, every single patch, every single expansion boosts it like injects another. I mean, every expansion is probably 300 pets, I would say, in total. By the time you consider all of the pets that you can just find in the wild and pick up, plus any that are then for pet battle tokens on vendors, plus any drops that come from like dungeons or raids and that sort of stuff. I imagine there's a lot of them. I'm going in with about 3.5 million gold, have a bunch of sky golems to sell hopefully if the price goes up. Been going down quite a bit recently. Well, they will, that's to be expected. The price of sky golems skyrockets the day Shadowlands releases. That's when the price will likely skyrocket. It will last about 2 weeks, they'll be double their value. But you should be able to sell them like hotcakes, as everybody will want a sky golem to run around and do some herbalism with and some mining. I don't know how much gold I should try to get now. I'm sitting at 21k across 4 characters. I was talking. Well, I say I was talking. There was a few threads in on the WoW economy subreddit a couple of days ago talking about they had like under 100k gold and wanted to know what to do. And I saw a lot of people suggesting to them that they go out and raw gold farm. And like my advice was the exact opposite of that. If you've got less than 100k gold right now, and you're looking to like pay for the game with pay for the game with tokens by equally spending gold, don't raw gold farm, because you get yourself into this sort of downward spiral where you grind enough gold to be able to buy a token, then you buy a token, but then you're back to 0 gold again. And then all that means is then next month you're just in the same position again. It basically means you have to then devote like 20-30 hours of gameplay every single month just to be able to play the game. You'd be much better off leveling. You've got 4 characters, so that's good. If you've got yourself 4 characters, just spend a bit of time making sure you've leveled those characters. Make sure they're at 50. Make sure they're all somewhat reasonably geared to make your Shadowlands leveling more simplistic, easier, quicker. But mostly make sure you've got your professions set up and ready to go for Shadowlands. Now is not the time where you're going to be able to make a boatload of gold. It's just not going to happen right now. Everybody's trying to sell, nobody wants to buy. There's only a few items that are selling now. Things like uncanny gear is selling really well right now. Bags are selling really well right now. Some of the lower level enchants are selling pretty well right now. But realistically, there's not a huge amount that he's actually selling. Now is a really good time to get some groups together, get a few alts leveled up. Exactly what I've been doing here. I know I'm in a slightly more luxurious position that I've played the game for so long. I've got so many alts. But get your professions leveled up. Get yourself in a position where you're ready to hit Shadowlands. Because the first month or so of Shadowlands is where you could basically earn enough gold to probably pay for Shadowlands game time with gold for the rest of the expansion. Just make sure you prepare is simply my my main suggestion. Golems right now are about 60k on your server. That's still slightly higher than average, I'd say. Most golems I think are going for around 30 to 40k right now. But picking a few up, they'll probably hit the 100k mark when we hit Shadowlands. Just depends how many people stockpile them. That's the thing. Been doing some digging and only limited to 8.3 battle pets. Expensives are the rare drops from World Rares, BFA 8.3 and raid drops. The most expensive is a pet called Rot Breath, which drops from Lord Akarai, a rare in Oldham. Yes, that pet itself is pretty expensive. But bear in mind, a lot of these pets that are specific to like rare drops in BFA, when we get into Shadowlands, if people really want that pet, they can easily farm it out, which means the price of them does drop. It's only that top 10% of most valuable pets that maintain their value over a long period of time. I've not looked into pets in a super amount of detail though, so. There's a guy in chat that you'll see here regularly, part of the coffee club, called Woo. He's pretty hot on selling pets. If you don't already, I'd suggest following him on Twitter. As frequently he's shouting about his pet sales, and they're pretty impressive. What's his Twitter? I'll link it to you in chat. Where is it? Copy link address. Yeah, check this guy out on Twitter. Check this dude out on Twitter if you're interested in pets. He does some good stuff with his pets. My goal is not sub, but then the legendaries, the gear and the consumables. On a small server with 150k gold, I could get all the 30 slot bags on your server. Probably. On a smaller realm, that's totally possible. Seeing how... Hey! Speak of the devil. There you go. How we doing, Woo? Rot Breath is good. Pappy will perhaps hold value a bit better, as it's more annoying to get. Oh, potentially, yeah. Yeah, this is your man when it comes to working out which pets are valuable and which are not. But let's quickly finish off this. Let's clean this dude's bags out, and then we can call this character done for a while. What are these items I've got? No, I want two-handed maces really. Is that an upgrade? I'll just leave him in all his heirloom gear. It doesn't matter. Let's clean the bags of any trash we need. Do you think the expansion will be inflationary? Pets a good investment in general, though. Yeah, true. Pets are like that's somewhat solid advice for virtually any aspect of the game. Like, if you think that gold is going to lose its value because more of it is going to be injected into the game, you're better off investing your gold into items, because items are usually affected less by inflation because their value will increase with inflation. But your gold, just having gold in your bags, so if you have 10 million gold on your character, but then by the end of next expansion everybody's easily got 10 million gold, that gold was then worth nothing. But if you spend a whole bunch of gold on items, this is why things like investing in sky golems is always something that I quite actively promote. That investing your gold in things when we go from one expansion to another means that if there's a huge influx in inflation because of tens of thousands of more people playing the game or whatever the reasons may be, having your gold invested in items will ultimately maintain the value that you have. I've probably butchered that statement completely, but you guys probably know what I mean. Hey Manthieus, are there any differences between prospecting Chiropite and Ghost Iron Ore? What TSM strings are you using to value Mr. Pandaria jewel crafting reagents for the Panthers? It was only really brought to my attention today that Chiropite is a viable option. I've always just prospected Ghost Iron Ore, but that's mainly because I play on a high population server, and Ghost Iron Ore is almost always actively being farmed and is considerably more widely available than Chiropite. Chiropite, you have to kind of pick it up as and when you see it cheap, usually because somebody's been like leveling through that zone or something like that. It's not as actively farmed, which means that I've never really considered it. I don't necessarily know off the top of my head what the prospecting differences are. It would require a little bit of testing. It's not going to be too much of an expense to you to do some solid testing. You could quite easily just buy 1,000 of each, prospect up, and then just compare the differences. That's unlikely to cost you too much, but we'll give you that answer. And regardless of the outcome, then what you get from prospecting it, just dump it into your jewel crafting mounts. So it's not like you're testing with 100% loss of gold. You're sort of testing, and regardless of the result, then you're gaining some value back from it. So I got like 500 Chiropite from the rares that sound good. Nice. Sky Golem's over 60k on my server. I think it's overpriced. Well, you may start to find on some servers the price of the Sky Golem will start to rise. A few people now have said that it's over 60k on their realms, which is not a surprise to me. We've hit pre-patch. There's a whole new influx. There's a whole bunch of people that have come back to the game and are looking at things like that to get ready for Shadowlands. So the price will start to slowly go up, I imagine. Only on the very large servers would I see it continually going down. But on your average server, I would say the price going up slowly now is normal and expected. What do you do with the leftovers, e.g. the vermilion or the serpent's eyes? Well, the serpent's eyes, you need them to craft the mounts in the first place, so save them. But if you gain all of your gems through prospecting, you'll find that you have a considerably greater quantity of serpent's eyes than you will ever need. So realistically, just try and drip feed a few of them back into the auction house. The other gems, the other rare gems, there's actually, if you have an enchanter, there are the two, what are they called? There's the illusions that you can craft that require the other gems. I can't remember what they're called. I don't have easy way to show you right now. But where's my panther mount thing? What did I suggest to do with them here? Tomb of Illusions, that's the one. Tomb of Illusions, they're the ones. So the Imperial Amethyst and the Vermilion Onyx, you can use them to craft the Tomb of Illusions, which still sell pretty effectively. You're likely to end up with more gems than you need, though. That's just a fact of, doing the prospecting. The uncommon gems, I usually vendor most of them. If I have over 200 of them, I'll vendor them. I'll always keep a stack of them, because you can actually buy, what was it I did here? Yeah, you can buy, if Golden Lotus is cheaper than the cost of a rare gem, you can use a Golden Lotus and an uncommon gem and transmute it on an Alchemist and get a rare gem, and that's not even on a cooldown. So that then obviously requires you to also have an Alchemist that has Pandaria leveled up. So dude, thoughts on gun shoes? Do you think they'll continue to be usable at 60? Did the quest chain last night to be able to craft it. It's about 10 quests into the Legion chain, so a barrier exists. Simply on the premise that there's a barrier that exists, it's probably worthwhile doing, because of that barrier, many people won't. Any sort of speed boost item is going to be super valuable in Shadowlands, as long as they don't cap its use at 50. They have been, Blizzard have slowly been going through a whole bunch of past expansion stuff and capping it at 50. So it's a 50-50 realistically. I can't really say much more than that. But yeah, on the basis that you have to do like a 10 quest chain to be able to even craft them, I'd say that if you're willing to put the effort in, or you already have the gun shoes, then it should be a good one to look at. It's genuinely a 50-50 though at this point. So that's why sometimes I buy the gems on the auction house for below vendor sell price. yeah, sometimes you will actually find them stupidly cheap. Yeah, but I'd like to know rates to know if it's worth to buy the ore and prospect for rare gems. Well, the only way that people get those rates is by testing in the first place. I personally haven't actively tested with Chiropite. I know the prospect rates on Ghost Iron Ore, hence why I was able to make that calculator. That calculator actually uses the specific prospecting rates. Here, for example, if I make this text black, you'll see there's some hidden values. These hidden values in this spreadsheet are actually the prospecting rates, even though they're misaligned for some reason. The fact they're misaligned doesn't matter. But these hidden values are what dictate that makes the spreadsheet work. But I hid them so that people don't mess with them, because it breaks the spreadsheet if you change those values. Tried to use the spreadsheet for the Warcraft amounts and could not edit it. Yeah. One thing I forget to say this in all of the videos that I post and where I provide people my spreadsheets. You have to go file, make a copy. You have to save it to you have to make a copy of it yourself into your own Google Drive. Then you can edit it to your heart's content. I only publish it in view only mode because otherwise anybody could come in and change it and it would completely break it. So all you have to do is go to file, make a copy for yourself, and then you can edit it completely. TSM shows 0. But it's from 2017, so it may not be current. I think those values, that would indicate it to be the same. Yeah, that would make it the same as what? Why are these figures all misaligned? I'm not sure why I've misaligned these. I must have done that for a reason. I can't remember what that reason would be though. But yes, that seems to indicate that it's the same as Ghost Iron Ore. So if you can get Chiropite cheaper, buy the Chiropite. If not, Ghost Iron Ore is going to probably be the easiest to acquire. But yeah, okay, I think it's time to have a little bit of a looky at the Wowhead economy. Oh, I tried to link, but it disappeared. Google Chiropite cost prospecting rates. That was a Reddit post. Oh, okay. You posted a link and it disappeared? I thought my chat was meant to allow links. Maybe it was Stream Elements that swatted it rather than YouTube. I'm not sure. I'll look into that. Especially members of the channel should be able to link. I don't know. But yeah, you can find the prospecting rates on Google. But all right, let's position this so you guys can actually see it all. There we go. That seems a sensible spot for it. Sensibles. So let's take a little looky. I like the we've got the Hallows End theme on the go here. So WoW Economy Weekly Wrap Up number 148. This has been going on for virtually 3 years now. It's nice to see that they've maintained this as a tradition, a weekly tradition that Wowhead do. Currently being done by Samadan. We should all know Samadan. Gonna lurk, do some work stuff. Cool, man. Thanks for your support this morning. Thanks for the help with the pets. But yes, we should all know Samadan. If you don't know Samadan by now, check him out on his Twitch. Check him out on his YouTube. Produces some good content. He's doing a leveling series at the moment where he's trying to help trying to help people who are new to gold making sort of understand the mindset of gold making. So his Let's Play series on YouTube is quite interesting to watch. Plus, of course, you can catch him on Twitch. So make sure you check him out if you are not following Samadan already. But let's take a look at the first thing: lockbox changes. Somebody discovered some interesting changes to lockboxes and how they work in Shadowlands. Pre-patch has brought changes to lockboxes for more expansions. Probably did some testing and found some interesting things. The item level of the gear inside the lockbox is determined by the person that opens the lockbox. Oh, that's interesting. So the loot is not predetermined when you loot the box itself. The loot is generated when you open the box. That's interesting. So if a person takes a look at the items but does not loot the box and then trades the box to another character of different level, the loot inside will stay the same, but the item level will change to make it relevant to the new person that's opening it. Okay, that's an odd one. So that sort of means that when you first open the lockbox, the loot is generated, but the items are not necessarily generated until the person actually takes them out of the box. That's an odd one. The gold inside a lockbox does not scale and will not change. So even if you open it on a max level character, but then trade it to a lower level character, the gold will stay the same. That's interesting. This is a good example. That's really odd. So yeah, loot it on any characters, but quite simply just there's. This is interesting. This is interesting because the reason people open the lockboxes is primarily because you can get some good transmog pieces out of there. Not always are they going to be great, but there's the chance. You know, it's literally a loot box. But you could find your lockboxes on any character you like. You first then want to send them to a max level character to open and look at them, because then that will give you the most amount of gold out of that box. Then what you want to do is you want to send that box, once you've opened it and looked at the items, to a level 10 character and loot it on a level 10. Because looting it on a level 10 will then drop the item level of any of the gear that's in there, so that if it is a good piece of transmog, then your fees for listing it on the auction house are going to be like virtually none. Compared to because if it has a really high vendor price, it means that if it's, you might end up then, I don't know, that's 50-50. What would you rather do? Would you rather just have high vendor price for the items, so if they're trash, you get some instant gold by vendoring it? Or would you want to risk them all having no vendor value, but when you do get that good piece of transmog, you could then basically list it for free? That's an odd one. That's an interesting take. Is this good for twinking? Is twinking still a gold making thing? Twinking is, I don't know. It doesn't feel to be so much of a thing as it was. Simply because the leveling is so squished and so quick now. I really don't think that there's going to be many people that are going to, because the twinking used to be a thing simply because of like the PvP brackets, level 39, for example, back in the day, and equally in Classic, for example, was a bracket that was very common for people to twink their gear, their characters out, because you could make a really, really powerful level 39 character, then it would go into battlegrounds with other level 40s and just destroy. But the problem is that people are going to level up to 50 and equally to 60 so fast nowadays. I'm not entirely sure. People might twink their characters out at level 50 or 51 potentially. There might be some boosting potential going forward, but They removed the NPC that makes you stop gaining experience anyway. Is that completely gone? They removed it on the beta, but I think they removed it on the beta to stop people using it on the beta. I don't think, because they wanted people they didn't want people to be twinking on the beta. They wanted people to be actively leveling the characters. That was the point of the beta. That's why I thought they removed the NPC from the beta. But I still think the dude's there in live though. I might be wrong on that, but that's what I heard. But yeah, I mean, that would make a huge difference though. If the NPC that prevents you from gaining experience is removed, then yeah, twinking will be pretty much dead on arrival, but we'll have to see how that goes. But this is interesting about the lockboxes. The fact that they seem to have like the loot in them is different depending on who opens them. That's a bit odd. So yeah, if you're looking to literally, in regards to the lockboxes, if you're looking to just maximize the amount of gold you get from the items within them, just open all of them on a level 50, or what will equally then be a level 60 by the time we get into Shadowlands. That would be wise to do. But then you have to. Then you run the risk of the items that you gain from those boxes are going to be really expensive to list on the auction house if they are good transmog items. But it's a risk. But that's cool. That's interesting to know. What's next on the list then? Opportunities for Hallow's End. Hallow's End is upon us, and while many during the event will be trying to snag the Headless Horseman mount, got mine, GG, there'll be a few other opportunities that will be useful for Goldmakers. After the level squish, I ended up with a bunch of level 45s, the old 110 army, like a lot of people now with Hallow's End active. You can run around getting the candy buckets again for tokens to sell pets for the rest of the year. Yes, we spoke about this a little bit earlier in the stream today. The pets that you buy from Hallow's End using the tokens from what they call tricky treats from the candy buckets are super valuable. Very worthwhile spending some time doing it. Okay, I checked, and you are correct. Okay, so the just to backtrack ever so slightly, the EXP vendor does the dude that prevents you from gaining EXP is still a thing. They just turned it off in the beta to actually make people level in the beta. Just open someone on max character and the item levels didn't scale. Well, maybe that was unintended then. Maybe it was unintended. Maybe it was designed so that the loot was generated when the box itself was looted by the character that loots it. Maybe a little bit more testing will have to be done on that then. Maybe that was just one of the unintended bugs that slipped in because of the level squish. We'll see. Do the sticky treats stay in bags, and can they be used next year? Presumably yes. There's no reason for them to. The only thing from Hallow's End that goes away after the event is the magic broom. The magic broom is an event only item, mainly because it's super powerful. That it's auto mount. Basically turns any character into a druid if they choose to use that mount. But that is event only. Once Hallow's End ends, that item then disappears. But the tricky treats, I believe they stay in your bags. There's no reason to not use them. Loot box opening stream incoming. That means I'd have to farm a whole bunch of them. And the argument there is that actually going out to specifically farm lock boxes is a bit of a weird one. Mainly because you can only get a handful of them an hour, and there's no reliable way to farm them. They are the lock boxes are literally just a bonus to whatever it is you're currently doing at the time. Shouldn't ever be the primary reason you're doing farming. It's just that people like to min-max things, and so if you do gain a whole bunch of lock boxes, then what is the best way to maximize them? And it turned out to be, well, send them to a max level character and then open them. But we may have to see if that was an unintended change or not. Let's continue with the Hallow's End opportunities then. I know we're bouncing around a little bit here, but usually the way it goes. Mentioned in the farming guide that I posted here, but now it's the time to do all of your level 3 garrisons. Do all 4 daily quests to earn the 5 spooky supplies, then purchase the creepy crawlers decoration from Izzy Hollyfizzle. This will then give you the opportunity to kill Arachnis, which is a big old spider boy that walks around your garrison, which has the chance to drop the sack of spectral tigers. I entirely forgot to mention this in my Hallow's End video, but equally, yes, this is a toy that you can pick up. You can sell it on the auction house. They are probably dirt cheap right now on the auction house. It's another thing to look at, maybe just buying a handful of them and then just maintaining one on the auction house until they sell. You're not going to get a huge amount. It's only going to be people that are trying to just, like, you know, tick all of those boxes in their collection tab that might be missing it, that will probably buy one of these. But that's the same to say with most pets and mounts and toys and stuff. So check your auction house, see if these spectral spiders, the sack of spectral spiders toy is going cheap. If it is, consider buying up a few. Sell them later in the year. Arachnis is scaled up with 9.0 and is no longer a one-shot kill at max level. It's currently level 50 for a level 50 character, but that being said, it is still entirely soloable. It's not like he's a raid boss in your garrison or anything like that. So it's quite simply a case of just, yes, you can farm him once a day on each of your characters and try and get the Spectral Spiders toy that way. But I'd imagine these are not going for much more than 1,000 gold on the auction house anyway. So, is there an expulsum-like reagent, and are we going to need to do braces like a bracer-like shuffle? I'm assuming you're referring to Shadowlands, and as it stands right now, no. There is no sort of expulsum-like reagent in Shadowlands at all. So yeah, you're likely to still do a bracer shuffle, but it's looking like it's going to be a cloak shuffle, and it's mainly going to be for the purpose of creating large amounts of green items to then disenchant to get enchanting materials. That's probably the only reason you'd be doing that sort of shuffle. But no, there's no sort of no expulsum-like reagent in Shadowlands. Shadowlands professions are looking a lot simpler than what they are in BFA right now. Now we've spoke a little bit whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a bit of both, is the TLDR. But yeah, professions are looking quite a bit simpler. Also worth noting, the Coin of Many Faces toy that drops from the skeletons is something that's only available during Hallow's End. Once again, you can probably find these on your auction house for stupidly cheap right now, as the actual drop rate on this is ridiculously high. You can comfortably farm up like 10 or 15 of these an hour. They're stupidly easy to get, which means if you were quick off the mark, you might have sold a few of these, but the likelihood of selling many of these for much more than a few hundred gold right now is slim, unfortunately, just because they're just too easy to get, is the honest answer. But same scenario as the sack of spectral spiders. Grab a few if they're cheap right now. They're likely to be very cheap right now because they're in high supply. Keep them for a few months, then sell them back on the auction house for twice the price later. You've doubled your gold. Easy game. Easy game. They're really similar to Classic with the enchanting of cloth and bars. Yeah, the professions are taking a little bit more of an old school feel to them. I don't want to get too deep into Shadowlands professions just right now. But yeah, in simple terms, enchanting is going to be a big player in Shadowlands, because an enchanter is going to have their finger in every single pie when it comes to crafting base legendary items. because a lot of the items have to go through an enchanter first to be enchanted before they can be turned into a base legendary item. So either enchanters are going to be able to have a lot of business themselves, or everybody that has either tailoring, jewel crafting, leatherworking, or blacksmithing is also going to have an enchanting, have enchanting leveled up as well, to be sort of self-sufficient. Excuse me. Interestingly, on that note, today's video after this stream is going to be a deep dive into jewel crafting for Shadowlands, where one of the things I touch on is the fact that no longer is it easy to be self-sufficient with your professions. You can't level a profession to max and just be able to craft everything that you need. Even if you level jewel crafting to max, you're still going to need a blacksmith to provide you the bars for your base legendary items. You're also going to need an enchanter to enchant some of your materials to make those base legendary items as well. It means that your jewel crafting relies heavily on 2 additional professions, meaning one character on one main character with 2 professions is not enough to be self-sufficient. So you're either going to have an alt do some of it for you, or you're going to have to turn to the auction house a lot of times to buy these items you need. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but that's today's video. Wait for that later. But okay, what's next? What's next with Hallow's End? Now that Hallow's End is back, just a reminder that one of the best mounts in the game is an event duration only mount, which is the Magic Broom. Yes, we spoke about this. It is only available during Hallow's End. I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure if the Magic Broom is an item that disappears out of your bags after Hallow's End, but it has this affix on it saying requires Hallow's End. So you may keep the item, but it only works during Hallow's End. Say that one more time, I dare you. Old school, dude. Welcome back. Welcome. Okay, yeah, the things to note is that this the Magic Broom is not technically a mount, as it's just an item in your bags. You can get it by killing the Horseman every day. It's got about a 25% drop chance off the Horseman, so if you don't have it already, you only need to kill the Horseman a couple of times and your chance is pretty good of getting it. Or you can buy it for 150 tricky treats, but I really wouldn't recommend doing that. The drop rate of it from the Horseman is so high that just run the Horseman for a few days. 150 tricky treats is way better to be spent on one of the pets, simply because the pets are 50k gold in value, whereas having a mount is going to be less having a mount that's only available during Hallow's End and is also easily obtainable. Yeah, don't spend your tricky treats on the Magic Broom. Can you also get it from the candy buckets? Oh, well, there you go. There's even more ways to get it. So yes, definitely don't spend your tricky treats on it. Thorn Gaming has done a video about Hallow's End. If you haven't seen this, if you want a complete guide. I've not seen this video. I've not watched this video, so I can't directly endorse it, but check it out. Have a look. I've also got a Hallow's End guide that covers a few things on my channel if you want to check that out as well. So let's have a look at what else. Chest changes in pre-patch. Holy smoke, this Sharkin guy again. Wasn't he the dude that was looking at the lockboxes? Sharkin, yes, this guy's been on fire this week. Another discovery by Sharkin was an interesting one regarding chests. Okay, scenario, a character that's level 10, a character that's level 50, and a character that's level 25. If a chest is opened by a level 10 character and looted, the chest will disappear, and character 2 and 3 can no longer loot it. If a chest is opened by character 1 but not looted, the chest will remain, and character 2 and 3 would also be able to interact with the chest. Character 1 would see level 10 green items, character 2 would see level 30 green items, which is the maximum for a chest, and character 3 would see level 25 green items, but all would have different loot tables. Okay. The chest disappears almost immediately when all players who have interacted with the chest loot their items. Okay, I think this is somewhat similar to how it always was meant to be, though. Chests were never meant to be multi-tap. Chests were meant to be that one person opens the chest and everybody gets it. Ore nodes are multi-tap. Herb nodes out in the world are multi-tap. But I never thought that chests were meant to be multi-tap. And by multi-tap, I mean that many different characters can loot from the same thing. So this equally feels like it could be some sort of a weird thing that many characters can interact with it, but then soon as somebody loots from it, then the chest disappears really quickly. This still feels a bit. It feels a bit like a level squish bug. Again, I think that's an odd one. The best thing about Hallow's End is it drops item level 82 rings and swords. Yeah, true. I mean, for leveling up your alts, like item level 82 is not to be sniffed at. Obviously, we've got a lot of our main characters are running around with like 100 plus item level quite easily. But for your alts that have just dinged 50 and are probably sat at like level 50, 60 item level, just running the Headless Horseman, getting a ring and stuff like that would help boost your item level quite significantly. So in theory, if you open a chest but don't loot it, leave, log out, will it still remain there? Also, hello. Well, that seems to be the case, that you can open the chest to see what's in it, but as long as you don't loot it, the chest will stay there. Which I'm not sure exactly how it worked previously, but I always knew chests to be like a one-tap item. Like one person could go to the chest and loot the chest, and then the chest would disappear. The fact that it stays there and multiple people can interact with it. It also used to be that if one person was interacting with a chest, another person couldn't interact with it. And I'm thinking that's probably where the bug is in this. It's the fact that for some reason it says here, if a chest is opened by character 1 but not looting it, chest will remain and character 2 and 3 are also able to interact with it. That to me feels like the bug. That seems to be the unintentional thing for me. Now I know if you do like Mythic Plus, the end of dungeon chests and stuff are different. I'm talking about like the little loot chests that you find whilst running through old dungeons. That's what I thought. I doubt they'll keep this. I don't think it's a big enough of an issue for Blizzard to really care about it. Because I can't really even envisage a way to abuse this system. I mean, it makes those random chests in dungeons more valuable than what they used to be by a factor of 5, of course. But they never contain anything that's so outrageously valuable. They only ever had like a couple of gold in them at best. They were never. I mean, it's something that's cool to know, but I don't think it's game breaking. We'll have to see. There seems to be no timer on the chest, so after the first player has interacted with it but not looted it. From my testing, at least 13 people looted the chest with 13 different chest loots. How would 13 people loot a single chest? Is there... Oh, I don't know. This is odd. Yeah, something about this doesn't feel quite right. So the fact that when one character is interacting with the chest, other characters can also do so, that feels wrong. And I imagine that's unintentional. If that is a bug that is fixed, obviously only one character can interact with it, and the second somebody loots that chest, then it's donezo, it's game over for that chest, which is how it always used to be, and I think is how it's probably still meant to be. I don't think there's really many ways to abuse this, and I don't think it is like an exploit as such. I just think it's an unintended bug because of the leveling squish. Doesn't seem to be a super valuable thing anyway. But there is, no surprises, a YouTube video on it by Sharkin. So once again, check this out if you wish. I've not seen it, so I can't directly endorse it. But if you wish, check it out, of course. This opens up some interesting opportunities in sharing loot. Is it bug or unintended feature of how it works? Well, personally, I think it's a bug. It's my honest impression, that sounds very much like a bug. Knowing how chests worked previously, feels like a bug to me, but we'll see. The Lazy Goldmaker's been making a podcast. Okay, the Lazy Goldmaker's latest podcast. He talks through what's been working well for him. The main topics, being what interesting things have come out of the pre-patch. Talking about the last-minute nerfs to the relics of the past and how uncanny gear is back on the menu, along with current BFA consumables and enchants. Selling bags and goblin gliders, goblin glider kits. Is always beneficial at this point of an expansion, and documented changes included scrapping extra materials and the lack of blues. Yeah, that's an unexpected change for enchanters out there. They're actually gaining umbral shards. Are they umbral shards? I think they're umbral shards. As an enchanter right now has become more difficult, simply because enchanters used to craft tide spray linen braces. And any of the blues that procced, they would disenchant those blues to get enchanting materials and either scrap or disenchant the green items. But now things don't proc blues, so actually getting enchanting materials right now has become more difficult than it was before, which is an odd one. But yeah, that was unexpected. The chest thing would still be a pain for even multi-boxes, because they'd have to stop and switch to each individual alt to loot the item, right? Not if you're multi-boxing correctly. If you're multi-boxing correctly, you can have... I mean, for example, when you're multi-boxing, say for example you're multi-boxing druids and you're doing some gathering, most people will have like a macro that lines up the camera in the same place on each of the clients, and then once the camera's lined up the same on all of the clients, you can do a like a mouse over macro across all of the clients, so that they all loot the herb at the same time. Now that same theory would apply to a chest in a dungeon. You would just line up the camera and then you'd all interact with the chest at the same time. Trust me, anybody that multi-boxes a reasonable amount of time, things like that, they've got it sussed, they've got it worked out. Appears lastly some further reading. Most of this information was originally discovered, as I thought, on the WoW Economy subreddit and its accompanying Discord server. You can always catch Samadan live on twitch.tv, and you can also follow him on Twitter. So yes, check out Samadan if you haven't already. Well worth the time. Thank you once again to Samadan for a nice little a recap for the week. Very, very helpful indeed. Let's take a quick 5 minutes and look at some of the comments that people have left on the post. The chest thing has been how chests have worked for ages. Setting aside the loot table bit, I remember holding open on all sorts of chest type items for people to make sure that everybody could loot it. I even remember telling people about it during the beta for BFA with Warfront testing, letting everybody loot the same minecart. I believe that in that instance it got changed. Oh, so maybe this has actually been a bug that's been around for a lot longer than we anticipated. Or maybe it's not even a bug, but good luck enforcing loot discipline on chests. Yeah, especially in the pug world. Somebody sees a chest in a pug, they beeline that muff and they loot that chest before you've even known it exists. Good luck in a pug. Over the last 2 weeks, I made a lot of gold flipping cloth into bags. I'm doing BFA and deep sea satin, getting around 80 to 100 gold each per bag. Yeah, bags are selling like hotcakes. I've been saying it for a while. After 4 hours of waiting for LFR, I got my rank 3 embroidered deep sea bag, so I did some of those. Yeah. Why do people buy the Hallow's End pets on the auction house? Why? You can just get a currency and buy them. Well, because simply because if you have them and somebody else doesn't, you can charge more for them. Okay, sure. Okay. Well, that was it, boys and girls. That was the weekly economy wrap up. Nice. Yeah, quite simply, it takes roughly 2 hours to collect enough tricky treats to buy the pet. Or somebody can spend 50k gold that they already have and go and get a pet. It's pretty simple. What we should actually do is we should check the auction house to see what value those pets are at right now. I do ever so quickly need to send over the last few items from this dude's bags. That one. Some of that, 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 some of this, some of that, some of this. I think that's all the materials. That's made this dude's bags pretty clean, pretty tidy. Hey, look, a sinister squashling. You know what we do with sinister squashlings? We delete them. That's how valuable those are. We got 5 tricky treats out of that bag, though. That's literally the only 5 tricky treats I've got on this character, so we'll get rid of those as well. We don't need them. Right, there's that dude finished. Donezo, closed. I'll probably not log on this character again until we hit Shadowlands, but let's check the. I think my hunter's actually sat at the auction house already, so we can check those. Check the mounts. Check the pets from Hallow's End and see what the price is like on those right now. It might be time to start thinking about buying a couple up. A lot of people tend to do Hallow's End the first week it comes out, on the basis that it's new and something fresh to do. And then they kind of forget about it once they're done. I can't remember what the 3 pets were called though, so let me just quickly go check. The old vendor dude. The things in Stormwind have got witches' hats on. I've never noticed that before. So yes, if you're Alliance at least, come and speak to Pippi, the pet vendor. So there's the Cursed Berman. Wow, okay, this is interesting. So bearing in mind, we first looked at this on the first day of Hallow's End. These pets were between 50 and 60,000 gold apiece. Currently on the auction house, Cursed Berman is 30,000 gold, so it's half price. Naxi is maintained its value a little bit more, at least on my server, but the regional sale average has gone down to 24k, 20k, and then widget. There's literally no widgets on my server. That's crazy. Somebody's relisted it at like 200k, which is just hysterical. That's crazy. I've not even got one of these to put it on the auction house. Is that really the case? Has somebody really listed it for 200k? That sounds like somebody bought them all out. There probably wasn't many on the auction house. But look at this, even Naxi. There's only 3 of these on my auction house and 4 of them. It's very tempting to go and buy them out, you know. Very tempting to go buy them out. That TSM data might be old though. Let's go and actually check the auction house itself. Auction house is down this way. We're going to hop on the beta in a minute, guys. We're not going to spend too much time on live right now. We're going to hop on the beta in a moment. And I need to do a little bit more of an in-depth look at some of the professions on the beta, so gives you guys a good opportunity to ask some questions as well if you have them. So who are we looking for? We're looking for pets. What were they called? Naxi. There's currently only 3 on my auction house right now. Oh no, there's a few more than that, but 40k is the cheapest one. Why is it listed twice? Ah, okay, that's interesting. The fact that okay, so the actual pet, once you've learned it, is going for 37, 38, 40,000 gold, and there's a lot of them on the auction house. It's the pet before you learn it that's yeah, the caged and uncaged versions. That's interesting. That could throw a few people off. But arguably they're about the same price, like 37k. Not quite cheap enough for me to want to buy them right now. I would prefer to pick some of these up around the 20k mark, if I'm honest. But so there was Naxi, there was the Cursed. What was it called? Berman. Oh, I spelled it wrong. That's why. Cursed Berman. These are now down to sort of the cheapest one is 30k. Realistically, looking more like 35k. It's really interesting to see. There's not a lot on the auction house though, but that's likely. It likely means that each of these people have multiple of them and have just got one on the auction house just because. The market value of this one is currently 26. So these are still a bit expensive for me to want to buy. What was the last one? There was Naxi, there was the Cursed Berman, there was one more. What was it? Widget? Widget, some in. Widget the Departed. These are expensive on my server right now. Ah, there we go. This seems a bit more realistic. Somebody reset the price on this one. Yeah, there's no difference with the pets. It's just the original item that you buy from the vendor before you learn it as a different item ID to the pet once you've learned it and then recaged it. Which just means it shows up as 2 separate things on your auction house. It's a bit weird, it's a bit wacky, but it's just the case. It's nice to see some people have actually leveled these up. This dude has leveled them up and is equally then, not only have they leveled them up to level 25, they're also selling them for less than people who are selling them for just, you know, unleveled. I mean, if you've gone to the effort of leveling them to 25, charge 10k more for them. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Because anybody would rather, like anybody that wants one for pet battles, and the reason they are at this value is because they are good for pet battles, would want a level 25 one. Now, they are way over market price right now because somebody's reset the price on them, obviously, at some point. So I'm not going to buy them out yet. But if these drop down to, like, say, 30k by the end of the event, I'll definitely pick up a few of these. Be nice. Very nice. Alrighty. Cool. Right. We need to load the beta. We need to do some... I want to look at leatherworking in a bit more detail today. I want to do some preparation for video. Let me just switch to this one moment so I don't dox myself. Let's open the beta, Shadowlands beta, go. And we should be able to come back here and hopefully beta will load. Bingo! This dude, yeah. Right, I'm gonna quickly go grab a drink, guys. I'll be back in 2 minutes. There's like over 50 of you here, and only 8 of you have hit the like button. Disrespectful. For shame. For shame. Smash that like button. No, I'm kidding. Do what you want. Back in 2 minutes. Howdy, howdy. Oh, you guys pulled it out of the bag. A whole bunch of you smashed that like button. Thank you, thank you. Very much appreciate it. We won't do too much of the selfless promotion, don't worry. What the... is this in the middle of my screen? Trade School Master, can you not do that in the middle of my screen? There we go. Thanks. Right, so yeah, the reason I want to spend a bit of time on beta is I need to... well, realistically, it's been almost 2 months since I did my quick looks on each of the professions. Now, not a huge amount has changed, but I think enough has probably changed that we should definitely go over the professions again in a little bit of detail. Excuse me while I quickly snack on some candy. We should take a little look at the professions again and see what's changed. $30k gold or Naxi for my Necrolord transmog. Just go get some tokens. Some tricky treats. Pick up some tricky treats. Save yourself 30k. If I remember right, you're in a position where you're trying to make gold, not spend it on pets, but your choice. So, jewel crafting is the first profession I want to look at in a little bit more detail. And this is what will be, it'll all be condensed into today's video. Jewel crafting, the prospecting rates, I've now noticed it's obviously difficult to do large amounts of prospecting on the beta because, you know, I've got to farm up all my own ore. But I've now noticed 3 different changes to prospecting. They are constantly looking at the prospecting rates, and they are changing things. I've got a... where is it? Where is it? Where's my spreadsheet? Where's my spreadsheet on it? My Shadowlands cheat sheet. Here we go. So I did a little bit more prospecting yesterday. And jewel crafting is now looking... it's in a better spot than what it was before. Absolutely, for sure, it's in a better spot. When you look at the prospecting rates of the essences, these were the things that were scarily rare. And you need the essences to be able to craft the base legendary items as a jewel crafter. But it now appears that they are more readily available through prospecting, which is nice. When you prospect a lithium ore, which is your big fancy rare ore, I'm actually, for every 100 lithium ore you prospect, I think I got, how many was it? 7, 9, 16. I got 20. I got 20 of the essences from just 100 lithium ore. Which means that for crafting the base legendary items, you're going to look at prospecting a lithium ore, almost certainly. You can level up by picking up the buckets and getting treats. I got almost 10 levels by doing Classic and the Burning Crusade. Yeah, it is kind of mad, the amount of experience you can get from the tricky treat buckets. It's a bit of a crazy one. Now, where's the jewel crafting dude? I think he's this way somewhere. Here we go, jewel crafting.
You honor me with your attention.
By the way, Manthieus, I'm planning some multi-box in Shadowlands. The idea is 1 Nightfey Monk and 4 Necrolord Hunters, since my main is a monk. Considered druids, but that fetch skill is really appealing. Yeah, true. The fact that you then don't have to worry about the looter rank, that's true. That saves you a bit of gold. The thing to note with the fetch skill on a hunter rather than the looterang is that when you fetch, it's like a casted spell. You have to wait until the pet has looted before you can then do something else. So building in the, if you want to try and set yourself up a macro for your rotation on your hunters, you've got to be careful that you don't accidentally cancel your own fetch. It's a bit of a weird one. But it is, yes, of course, a nice alternative to druids. Boreal shards are still 1,000 gold. Nice. So the macro between hunters has to be different so they don't cast fetch at the same time. No. You can still, like, if you have 4 hunters, you can still, like, press your button to fetch. But the point is you can then accidentally cancel that. If you then too quickly press kill command, for example, shortly after, then what you find is you actually end up cancelling your own fetch by doing another ability. You have to wait for the pet to go to the mob, loot it, and then come back to you before you can do something else. It just means that the looterang is still, even on a hunter, the most efficient way to loot items. The fetch on a pet is a good alternative, but it's definitely not any better. One thing I'm really interested in is what Blizzard intends to do with these other optional crafting reagents that are still on the vendors in the beta, yet I know for a fact that they're very unlikely to make it into the live version of the game, at least at launch, because we've still got things like the Alchemist pouch, an optional reagent that can be crafted into a piece of armor, increasing the duration of flask effects. Now, alchemists by default get this as a perk of just being an alchemist, but Blizzard did make an optional reagent to give a piece of gear the ability to do this as well. I genuinely wonder whether they're going to keep these in the game some way, or whether they're just going to disappear as soon as the beta disappears. Because this distributor vendor, for example, is a vendor that's not going to be in live. He's literally here to give you basically cheat mode stuff for the purpose of for the beta. And you can tell by the fact that he sells missives for 5 copper a piece that he's not going to stay here. Craftsman's pouch is another very interesting one. An optional reagent that makes the crafted armor have a chance to give an additional skill point when crafting items from Shadowlands. So, like, in theory, you could make yourself before you level up a profession, you could craft yourself a bunch of gear, or what would arguably be the case, buy a set of gear for cheap off the auction house that has these optional crafting reagents on it to, like, dramatically boost the skill points you get leveling professions. It's a real interesting one. I hope they do something with this in the game. I hope it doesn't just disappear into the nether. Because, of course, a lithium setting was the optional crafting reagent that, when crafted into armor, adds a socket. Now, as we know, this has now been implemented in the Maw. Venari in the Maw, if you collect enough Stygia and gain a good enough reputation with Venari, will sell you the ability to put a socket on a piece of gear. So this has obviously been changed. This is not going to make it into the game because it's been implemented in the game in another fashion. So this one's not going to make it for sure. Hydrodynamic accelerators. Makes swim speed faster. That's a cool one. Loosened belt. Increasing the duration of well-fed effects. Luxurious feather. Reduces slow fall. You've got necrostatic microcapacitor. Crafted into a piece of armor that increases the wearer's primary stats when completing world quests. All of these items are really quite cool. It's going to be sad if they don't make it into the game. Allows them to maintain their well-fed buff when killed in arena or battleground. That's going to save you huge amounts of gold on food buffs. An optional reagent that can be crafted into a piece of armor, slightly increasing the wearer's run speed. Shadowy rabbit's foot. Imagine having a full rabbit foot set. That would be cool. I heard that the optional reagents weren't a good idea because it requires the crafter to guess what the buyer will want in terms of making things and putting them up on the auction house. Well, yeah, this is the thing. They implemented this optional reagent system, and as the beta's gone on, and the longer the beta's been on, the more of it that they've removed out the game. So it seems like Blizzard had a good idea about having these optional reagents, but it's just been pushed down the priority list of shit to do, and it's being pushed so far that it's falling off the end. And it's completely falling off the list of things to do, and they're just removing them from the game, which is a bit sad. There's not much water in Shadowlands though. True, but like there's no reason that it wouldn't affect you in other places. It doesn't specifically say just in Shadowlands. Be neat if crafters could make the items that work like the socket where it applies those things. Well, there was all of these optional reagents initially started in professions, and it was only a few beta builds ago that they took them all off the professions. I think if you go on Wowhead even now, Wowhead still claims that these are things that can be crafted with some of the professions, even though it was like 3, 4, maybe even 5 beta builds ago, they got taken off the professions and all just put on this one vendor. Which unfortunately gives me the opinion that Blizzard is just gonna like completely can them from the game. This optional reagent thing has been more of a headache for them, I think, than anything else. I mean, some of you guys will be aware of my opinion of the missives right now. I think the missives are too expensive to craft. If you look at inscription, do I have inscription on this guy? I don't think I do. I think I've got Jawn crafting and enchanting. But if you look at inscription, the cost of the missives are really quite expensive. Each missive costs about the same as a Darkmoon card does to craft. Which is only one of the rare inks. But the rare inks are actually really rare. What were they called? I can't remember what they were called. It begins with V. Viridescent inks or something in BFA is the rare ink. Oh, there we go. But these, you needed 10 of these to craft a single Darkmoon card. The amount of these that you get for milling currently, the amount of the Shadowlands equivalent, which is I want to say Tranquil inks, is dramatically less. Which in balance is going to make these missives super, super expensive. And these missives are only going to be valuable to people creating the base legendary items. Nobody who's creating gear is going to risk adding these to pieces of gear, because if you craft a piece of gear and it takes 2 missives, you're potentially adding upwards of 1,500, maybe even 2,000 gold of cost to crafting that one single item, just to take away the. It's not like you're adding stats to the item either. You're just determining which stats. It's just too. They're just too expensive. So I don't know how they're gonna deal with these optional reagents going forward. My worry is that, considering development time is at a premium at the Blizzard headquarters right now, that the optional reagents might just get completely canned from the game. Missives will stay in the game. They're already too baked into the game. But I feel going forward they're going to get completely trashed. But what we do need to do is we need to look at actually leveling up jewel crafting. I want to get it re-leveled up so so I know where I stand with the professioning, and I can see if any changes have been made. It's likely going to mean I'm going to need a lot of lace strike settings for starters. Let's grab a whole bunch of these things up. Lace strike settings. Let's just buy 100 of those. We can train a bunch of these items. You get to you still are able to get to 25 in jewel crafting just simply by prospecting, which is how I got to 25 already. I was doing some prospecting to try and get an idea of the prospecting rates, of course. Interestingly though, we should probably use mass prospecting to level. Although weirdly, I actually want to keep my ore intact as much as possible, so I can use it for. So I can actually use it for testing the prospecting rates, rather than using it just to level up quickly. So now I might actually look at crafting some stuff. Let's quickly bash out a bunch of these then. This one's orange. We'll just create a load of these. The Bearded Viking 89 Game Blogs. What a name, but welcome. Welcome, welcome. Let's just see. Well, let's do it in increments of 5 just to. Requires jeweler's kit. Of course it does. Of course it does. Jeweler's kit. There we go. We're probably going to need a bunch of the malleable wire as well, but we'll get those when we need them. Oh, I remember though. Actually, leveling up jewel crafting is. Yeah, I remember now. It's just you literally get most of the levels from prospecting. It's a bit of a mad one. Because you can continue to mass prospect lace strike all the way up to like 60 points or something. Livey is there at least to unlock. I unlocked the XP on one of my characters 2 days ago. Don't know if I can lock it again. They removed it on the beta. That was what was causing the confusion about the XP locking dude. But they removed that dude on the beta because the point of the beta is that they wanted people to test the leveling. They didn't want people to lock their experience and not level. So they removed it from the beta, but then a lot of people took that to mean that it was going to go away from the live version of the game, which I don't think is the case. I think they're still going to allow people to lock their experience at a certain level if they want to. That's one of those things like flying, that once you add it to the game, it's very difficult to take it out again without really annoying a lot of people. I might continue just to bang through a bunch of these, see how far I can get. Unfortunately, I might be forced into prospecting some of my ore just to level. It's going to be annoying, but we'll see. No, I can still keep going. Let's keep going. Jewel crafting is actually pretty simple to Not only simple, but quick and surprisingly cheap to level. I do worry about the longevity of the professions in Shadowlands. It's, I really don't think they've got that much life in them. Aha, now they've gone green. Well, that one's not gone green. Although it's not giving me skill points anymore. 44. 44 still. 45, there we go. Now all of these are green. I'm going to have to look to change to something else. We can make some quick lay strike chokers, I suppose. They're still pretty cheap on the old lay strike. Uses some of these quick dual doublets that we've crafted anyway. That's sense. Oh, we get 2 points for each one of these as well. Ah, that's nice. Maybe we will make some of those then. What are we missing from this? Versatile dual doublets. Well, let's make a few of these. Okay, let's craft these up. There's a lot there's not anything. Oh, there is. Ah, okay. So once we get to 50, these become. We start getting the clusters. I remember that being the case now. We only need to make 4 of these actually.
The ultimate transaction.
53, 54, 55. Get the next one. Did you know that you're talking about WoW professions is a good static background noise for studying? Hey, if you've got the stream open, I'm all happy. If you take something from it, that's all good. I've never been described as good static background noise, but I'll take it. I think there's a compliment in there somewhere. Hey, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. And hang on, didn't you say you're from California? What, like, surely studying at like 2 o'clock in the morning is maybe not the best time to be studying anyway. That could just be me. $62. Well, we got to get to 70 before we can learn anything new. Oh, hang on, these have gone yellow. Pick some of these then. Working from home. It's been working for me all these weeks so far. Wow, there we go. Nice. It's terrible background noise for working. I keep looking at the screen from time to time and can't get anything done. Well, I do apologise for people, to people who are trying to do something constructive with their life. What do we got now? What do we got? Deadly Sinvir necklaces. Bang out a few of these if we want. 3:43 on the west coast. Ouch. That's very early mornings. It's just gone midday here in what is currently very cold and dark Finland. West coast, best coast. Nice. Slept early at 6 PM yesterday, now you're up to study. Wow, that's some crazy sleep schedule. I thought my sleep schedule was whack. 11:44 in Sweden. Yep. Only an hour's difference for us. We wanted to do something constructive with our lives. Why would we be playing WoW? But there is unfortunately some truth to that. I can't argue. There is definitely some truth in that. You're Finnish? You sound like a Brit. I am British, but I live in Finland. Long story. Yes, I'm very British. The accent does usually give it away. Now we need to get to 80. I'm not entirely sure. I'll get to 85. I may or may not get all the way to there's probably not actually great use for me to get this all the way to 100 other than just to say that I've done it. So we'll see what happens here. We need one more of these. Damn, it's that time of year again with all of the summertime shifts. Yeah, exactly. It was Saturday night our clocks changed here. Which does mean that, yes, everybody, just as everybody starts to kind of get their head around time zones, everybody then changes them. Do you speak Finnish? Not really. I understand a reasonable amount of Finnish, but I don't speak it. It's way too much of a tongue twister for me. Not British enough for tea. Well, that's true. True. I'm all about the coffee. I need the extra caffeine. I'm all about the coffee. It's looking like I should probably craft the necklaces to get the last points. It's a very weird language. It's surprisingly simple once you grasp the basics of it. But yes, to anybody that's not heard Finnish, it sounds very, very strange. It sounds like it should be. It sounds like it should come out of Lord of the Rings. It's got a very weird sound to it. There's more caffeine in tea. Yes, but there's less tea in tea. There's more actual coffee in coffee, which means as a whole, you do get considerably more actual caffeine out of a cup of coffee. We stopped changing the times in Russia for a while and couldn't be happier. It's now something that's just more confusing. It can either be a 1 or a 2 hour difference. Yeah, that's it. It's just odd. It's just real odd. Don't tell us you moved to join Paragon, but it didn't work out. No, I'd not even thought about that. No, I definitely didn't ever try and join Paragon. You guys have seen me run dungeons and stuff. I'm not a mythic raiding kind of guy. Do the speed gems have an item level minimum? Yeah, I think it's 80. I want to say 87. It's the. Which one's the one that's just the speed one? Is it straddling? Yeah, it requires item level 87. Yeah, this is partly the reason that people were annoyed with the relic changes, because relic 5, before it went to live, was originally going to boost items up to level 87, which then people thought that, well, I can use relic 5s to boost a load of gear that's got lots of gem slots and then slap a load of these in them to make a speed build, but now that you can't really do that. That's not to say that these aren't still going to be pretty valuable items to have. The fact that the difficulty is you're only ever going to need to sell one of these to a character. Plus, you also need to remember that dual crafting's had a bit of what I would call a soft nerf as a profession and as a whole. Simply the fact that there are only 5 gear slots that can even have a gem. I've not noted them down. What is it? So necks and rings can have sockets on them, and then helms, braces, and belt. So there's only actually 5 pieces of gear that can have a socket on them, which is a bit of a soft nerf to dual crafting in general. But it still means that people are likely to possibly want one of these in their gear so that they get that 13% speed, and then the 4 additional pieces of gear with sockets in them can have whatever is bis for you. So won't be able to socket Legion Legos. No, unfortunately not. Everything about dual crafting, the reason I'm kind of going through dual crafting again now is just to refresh my memory, because later today after the stream I'm going to record a deep dive into dual crafting, To give you guys an indication, some of the topics I'm looking at is the materials that are needed for jewel crafting, how prospecting works and what you can expect to get from prospecting, the leveling path of jewel crafting and its complications, the crafts in detail. So we're going to talk about the gems, the clusters, the rings, the necks, the legendary necks and rings, how you should go about selling gear for jewel crafting. Plus I've made a TSM profile. It's going to be a paste bin, and then sort of final thoughts on jewel crafting, things like actually mining and or blacksmithing are really good professions for jewel crafting, because if you look at the Shadowgast necklaces and rings, the legendary necks and rings, these require Shadowgast ingots. Now, a jewel crafter has no way to make these themselves. They are solely relying on a blacksmith to make the Shadowgast ingots for them. And a blacksmith makes Shadowgast ingots by combining one of each of the 4 zone specific ore, and then they get 2 Shadowgast ingots from it. So actually, if you have a jewel crafter, it's kind of sensible to also be a blacksmith. If not on that same character, at least having a blacksmith somewhere on your account leveled up so that you can make your own Shadowgast ingots for your base legendary items. Interesting that the profession can no longer be sort of self-sufficient. It's not able to craft the materials it needs to make its own things, which is quite cool. Could you address crafter portfolio, e.g. what alts and in what order would you level your team? Well, I can't say for definite how it's going to work for everybody, but I can give you an idea of exactly what I plan to do. I plan to level, well, my hunter is my main character. That's who I'm going to level first. He has jewel crafting and leatherworking, namely why jewel crafting is one of the first that I'm looking at in detail. So jewel crafting and leatherworking is what my main character is going to have, and that he will be leveled up to 60 ASAP. So literally within 24 hours of the game going live, he should be level 60. I'm then going to have a druid that is obviously herbalism and mining, to not necessarily to actually actively go out and farm myself. I plan to buy virtually all of the materials I need off the auction house. But, you know, having a druid with herbalism and mining, absolutely. I have an enchanter. Well, my paladin is an enchanter and a blacksmith. He will be the second character that I level up. My druid, I will level him up just passively over time. I don't actually need to get my druid to level 60, because once I've unlocked Threads of Fate, I can go and farm, and I can go and mine in any of the zones I need to whenever I need to on the druid, and he'll just passively level up to 60 over time. I don't need to get him up to 60. But my paladin will be the second character that I level. So the hunter will be the main with jewel crafting and leatherworking. My paladin will be my alt, my main alt, I suppose you could say, who has enchanting and blacksmithing. That is so that I have an enchanter that's got, which will then give me the ability to enchant all of the items I need for the base legendary items, and the fact that that will be a blacksmith to make the Shadowgast ingots for my main jewel crafter to make the Shadowgast necks and rings. And the third character that I'll level up is a mage, and it is my mage that has tailoring and inscription. So then by the time I've got those 3 characters leveled up, I'll have most of the professions I want at max kind of quickly. There are obviously some holes in that, in terms of that I won't have an alchemist, which I might regret, but I can't have everything. And I won't have an engineer, boo-hoo. But everything else will be covered. So that's my sort of plan. It works for me. That's the thing. It works for me based on the characters that I want to play, and the professions I kind of want to have leveled up quickly. I mean, the nice thing about Shadowlands in terms of the professions is that it doesn't directly matter what character it is you're playing to which professions that they have. Since everything is bind on equip, you can trade everything between your characters, you can sell everything you want on the auction house. There's not really that necessity. Currently in BFA, for example, if you're a plate-wearing class, there's very little point of having something like tailoring, because the gear that you make, you can't use it and you can't do anything with it. It's kind of redundant. But in Shadowlands, because everything's bind on equip, you basically can have whatever profession you want and whatever character you want. Wait, didn't you say in one of your videos that you have 50 max level toons, so that you can cover everything? Yeah, I mean I do, but there's the difference that I'm talking more about actually leveling them up. I will have I have every class at level 50, and in total I probably have something like 50 max level characters, but that's because of my multi-boxing. They're obviously across different accounts on different servers and stuff. So in theory, yes, I can basically have all of the professions maxed out pretty quickly. But the ones I'm going to focus on and the ones that are going to be on characters that I'm going to level up are my mage, my hunter, and my paladin. They're the three that I'm going with. So you don't raid with your main, that's why you don't have alchemy. Well, yeah, kinda. I mean, my alchemist is my shaman, who is level 50 right now and is ready to go into Shadowlands. But my shaman is not on my list. My shaman will probably be the 5th character I level up. Engineering is on my warrior, which is probably my 6th character that I'll level up. But as we know, at the beginning of an expansion, most people will level 2, maybe 3 characters up to max pretty quickly. But it'll be a long time into the expansion before I get 4, 5, 6 max level characters. Unless I really enjoy the leveling process, which we'll see. Threads of Fate might have a difference on that, considering that the game is going to be a lot more alt friendly. We'll have to see. Is there any Expulsum, Hydrocore, Blood Aside, Garrus like mats in Shadowlands? No. Easy TLDR answer, no. Nothing like that at all. Leveling up is not the same as getting revered. And a max level garden. True. This is the thing. You can kind of level up a little bit at your own pace, but it's still a fact that the end game doesn't start till end game. For example, you can unlock your covenant at level 50 through Threads of Fate, but you can't actually rank up any of the things in your covenant, because to do so you need to have access to the Maw. And you need to have access to Torghast, and all of that is level 60 zone stuff. So there's actually not a great amount for you to do whilst leveling up if you pick the Threads of Fate option. It's been advertised as like just unlock endgame content, when realistically it's not, because most of the stuff you do at endgame you can't actually do during Threads of Fate. Yes, you can do your world quests. Yes, you can do bonus objectives. Yes, you can gain access to your covenant and get your covenant abilities. Yes, you can level up and have access to all of the 4 main zones. But no, you can't increase the features of your covenant. No, you don't have access to the Maw. No, you don't have access to Torghast. So you can see very quickly some of the things that you can't do through the Threads of Fate leveling is realistically what you're going to spend a lot of time doing at endgame. So it's a bit of a weird one. Got tailoring on my shaman, but made her back in TBC. and I was new to WoW and had no clue on the min-maxing for gold making. No way I'm switching her profession. Too many rare recipes. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I've been quite fortunate that the professions that I've now got on my characters, I've had them on those characters for quite a while. Only blacksmithing on my paladin have I recently leveled up, so I'm missing a lot on that. And inscription on my mage is a new addition. But things like leatherworking, jewel crafting, tailoring, what else? There's a few others. A lot of the professions I've had them on those characters for a good while. 5 box by killing mobs in Revendreth to get the rep. My first 2 toons are going to be engineers / sad. The reputation in Revendreth is with the Avowed. Yes. Over in this area, the Halls of Atonement in Revendreth is where you can basically just spam kill mobs to get reputation. With the Avowed. The Avowed is the faction that holds the recipe to Crafter's Mark rank 2. So virtually anybody with almost any profession is going to want to do this. I got way sidetracked. I still haven't finished leveling jewel crafting. I don't mind getting sidetracked though. It's fine. Good luck trying to get on the glyphs. The Legion glyphs are the worst to get. Yeah, I've still got a lot of work to do on my professions. I'm fully aware of that. The problem was I didn't really play BFA all that much, which meant that I'm quite behind. And when I was playing BFA, I was mostly just messing around on my multi-boxes, which meant that I basically made a crap load of gold at the beginning of BFA. And then slowly as the expansion's gone on, not really had the need to make much gold. And at the same time, I was spending like 1.5 million gold a month just on game time for like my multi-box accounts without actually then really even playing them all that much. So I burnt through all of my gold and I'm now sat at about 2 million gold. But I have the advantage of that I have 8 copies of Shadowlands already bought, so I've got a bit of a heads up if I want to pick up multi-boxing again. Can I make enough gold starting from 0 to buy Shadowlands starting today? Long answer, yes, you probably can. Short answer, no. To try and explain a little bit more than that, to start with nothing means your options for making gold pretty much limits you to just farming raw gold. Because if you have nothing, you can't level up professions, you can't invest in things that may take a long time to sell. You literally would have to, you would quite simply need to just grind raw gold. And if you live in the EU, you're looking at 200,000 gold a token. And you need, 4 tokens to buy Shadowlands, I think. So you'd need to grind out somewhere near to 800,000 gold. Which even if you find a good farming spot right now, you're only looking at 10 to 15,000 gold an hour. So that's potentially 80 hours worth of farming just to achieve that. Which I'm not saying you couldn't do, but that's crazy. Yeah, it's 39.99, which is exactly 4 tokens, not the 3. Yeah, you're about €1 short if you buy 3 tokens. I swear they did that deliberately. But I mean, if you've got like €38 or something from tokens, or €39, you just, buy 99 cents. But even still, regarding that, hoping that Black Friday reduce it by like $5 or something. Or yeah, possibly. But yeah, realistically, if you have 0 gold and you want to buy Shadowlands with tokens, like buying gold, it is feasible. It's not realistic though. I mean, if you want the game, I hate to say it, but just find $40 and buy the game. I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but that's the answer I'm going to have to give. We're at 82. We need a few more. I continue to get distracted. If you do find yourself €40 to just buy Shadowlands expansion with IRL currency, the things I would highly recommend doing in the pre-patch is like leveling up a few characters. If you level up a few characters, have yourself 3 or 4 characters at level 50 ready to go into Shadowlands, spend a bit of time getting the professions ready on them, and plan ahead, know what you're going to do when you get into Shadowlands. You've still got the option, you've still got the potential to make a lot of gold as we get into Shadowlands, which potentially then could pay for your game time for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years quite comfortably. That's what I'd be doing right now. I'd be leveling up characters. If you don't have a druid, I would be leveling up a druid. If you don't have a demon hunter, I'd be leveling up a demon hunter. If you don't have a monk, I'd be leveling up a monk. Those 3 are characters that are super valuable to have at the beginning of an expansion for various reasons. Druid, because Druid does Druid things. It gathers and it herbs and it mines better than anybody else in the game. Demon hunters are super nimble, super quick. Their movement speed is better than virtually any other character in the game, making them good for like farming on dungeons for transmog, farming just the world in general, running around doing world quests is super quick. They're also very, very good skinners because they bounce around a lot and have really good burst AoE. So a demon hunter is a super cool one to have. And a monk, if there's any 2x4 farming spots, they will always want a monk. So simply because you stand there with your statue, you make sure your statue doesn't die, and then you get to loot everything whilst everybody else kills it. Perfect scenario. It's the laziest way you can possibly make gold at the beginning of an expansion. Just roll a monk. You go, hi, I'm a brewmaster monk. I've got a totem. I'm going to stand and aggro everything, and you're all going to kill it, and I'm going to take all the loot. Genius. Absolute genius. Malleable wire. Why do you need twice as much malleable wire to make a necklace as you do a ring? That makes no sense. For sure. Even considering that flying won't be available for the first 2 patches. True story. Yeah. Regardless of flying, it's still the same situation. Where do I get this malleable wire from? We get the malleable wire from this dude over here, don't we? I'm gonna need to make, how many of these am I gonna need to make? Let's just buy 20 of it. Is that enough? Probably. Got a few max levels. Oh, that's a good start then. That's a real good start. It's always difficult for me to answer questions like, if I have no gold, what do I do? Because everybody's situation is slightly different. I have a few max characters, just not those classes. I mean, a monk, a demon hunter, and a druid are 3 characters that I would recommend anybody have if they're interested in making gold. Simply because they're just, basically, they're BIS characters for doing what it is that they do. Druid primarily. If you want a herb and you want to mine, which is a perfectly valid way to make a hell of a lot of gold early on, you want to do it on a druid, preferably. You either want to do it on a druid or you want to have the gold to be able to buy yourself a sky golem. Not sure if anybody else has noticed, I was scrapping tide spray linen and was getting deep sea satin and embroidered deep sea from it. Yeah, one of the undocumented changes was that, yes, the scrapping is a bit weird now. The fact that you can use just tide spray linen to make tide spray linen braces, but then when you scrap it, you get materials from the scrapper that you didn't put in to begin with. It's a bit odd. But yes, that is true. And going forward, I think that might be a good way. You buy a whole load of tide spray linen cheap, and it'll once you've made braces, you'll have because if you want if you're making bags, this is what I'm trying to get at. If you're making the 32 slot bags, you're going to need expulsum, and you're going to need the deep sea satin, and you're going to need the embroidered deep sea satin. So it's a good way to kind of buy one material, do a bit of shuffling to get your expulsum, and then whilst you're getting that expulsum, you end up with half of the materials that you need for the bags in the first place, which is kind of cool. Spent 5k, got 2k back in mats. Yeah, there we go. That's it's kind of quite nice. Is that to make up for the lack of blue procs now? We don't know. It was kind of, like I said, it was an undocumented change. It's only that people found that, hang on, I'm scrapping stuff now and I'm getting materials I didn't put in back out of the scrapper, which is an odd one. But yeah, it's just a thing. I'm quite sure it does the same with like blacksmithing and like leatherworking. That if you put, if you craft items with a blacksmith and then put them through the scrapper, you'll get items out that you didn't put in. You're not going to get banned from that, right? It's not a bug to get. No, it's literally it's just part of the game. I don't feel that there's a bug there. It's just the loot table for the scrapping has just changed. And the interesting thing is, yeah, how you go about actually getting the how you get your hands on some of the enchanting materials now is a bit weird. It's gone a bit funky. Right, well, there's jewel crafting leveled up again. That should now leave me with a reasonable, I hope, a reasonable amount of ore still left. That we can do a bit more prospecting, just to solidify some of my prospecting results. Where's the bank gone in this place? I might have mentioned it before, but I really despise Oribos. I don't like the fact that it's just one big circle and every entrance looks the same as the other entrance, and I never know where anything is. It's a bit annoying. Do I have any... What have we got in the bank materials wise? We've got a lot of solanum ore. We've not got many ore of anything else though. Let's prospect a stack or so of this, since we've got a lot of it, to try and get some more stats on that one, and we'll prospect ourselves a stack of lacestrite ore. Although, do I want to save the lacestrite ore because I need to level up blacksmithing? I'm going to save that one for now. Let's actually put... we haven't got any materials in the bags, have we? Let's... where did my ore go? It's here. Let's prospect a stack of this and see what we get. Now, if everything's still to plan, solanum ore should give us essences of valor, and an entire stack should give us in the region of 6 to 10, I'd imagine. You can turn on tracking with the magnifying glass to make Oribos okay to navigate. That's what I did. I'm in the townsfolk tracking. Yeah, true. That's probably something I should do. Banker, yes. Innkeeper, why not? Mailboxes, yes. Profession trainers. That'll probably do me. Yeah, I guess that makes it a bit easy. It's just when you're on this, I don't know. Something about the place I just don't like. We've got our first Essence of Valor. Second one. You guys probably are aware that I made a big stink about the fact that jewel crafting was properly broken not so long ago. But luckily since that they have made some... they've made some changes to the prospecting rates. They've also made some changes to the amount of materials needed to craft the base legendary items. Which is a good step in the right direction. But what I am trying to do is make sure that I know exactly how many essences you should get, or what the prospecting rate of the essences is, because that is going to dictate how much I'm going to be willing to pay for the ore once the game goes live. Or should I say how I'm going to base the price of the base legendary items. My plan being to do as little farming as possible once we get into Shadowlands. I'm going to hopefully use my gold to just buy the shit I need when I need it. That's the plan at least. And just hope that I have enough gold to be able to do it to the scale I want to. I would like to not have to like rely on selling things quickly to get the gold back to then buy more materials. That's always a bit of a shit situation to be in. Got 7 Essence of Valor so far, and we've still got 45 ore to prospect. This is good. It's looking to be about a 5% prospect rate on these essences. In other words, every time you press the mass mill button, the mass prospect button, you should get an essence out of it. It's kind of how it feels. Now, I'm not using the mass prospect button. I'm doing it by hand, just so it simulates the prospecting more times. So we got. Let's mark that down on our cheat sheet of what we got that time. So what was it? It was Solomon ore, wasn't it? We did another stack of it, 200. Anger's Eyes, we got 19. We got 17 of the yellow ones and 21 of the blues. And then which one was it? Was it the Valor? Essence of Valor, we got 9 of them. So currently, based on what I've prospected, it's a 3.75% prospect rate. But the others, for example, Oxane ore was 5%. We prospected 200, we got 10. Phaedrum ore, we prospected 200 and we got 8 of them. Sinvir ore, we prospected 200 and we got 13 of them. So it really makes me feel that we should be sitting at about a 5% prospect rate on the essences. I've prospected a lot more Leystrite just because I've had it available to me. Leystrite is interesting, the fact that there is the chance to get any of the essences. But obviously, because it's then sharing that chance to get something across 4 different essences, you can't sort of target which essence you need, which is why you go and prospect the zone specific ores. You want this type of essence, you go and prospect this. It kind of you can target the essences, which is nice. And then of course Elithium ore has a very high chance of prospecting any of the essences. So your go-to for prospecting is going to be Elithium ore. This will get you the best result in terms of quantity of essences. There's about a 5% chance to get on every prospect to get any one of the 4 essences, but of course it's the rare ore. It's likely to be a lot more expensive. So it's going to be up to you guys to find that balancing act between how much you want to spend on it in relation to then what you then go and price your base legendaries at. Prospecting is one of the reasons I've loved jewel crafting for the longest of time, because this uncertainty that is created by having to buy a raw material and then do something random to that material means that there's always a lot more profit to be made. I mean, over the years, I've probably made 30% of all of the gold I've ever made simply from jewel crafting. I like prospecting ore and then doing something with the gems. There's always bags of gold to be made with jewel crafting. We've spoke before how like barriers to entry create more ability to make gold. Expulsum was a great one. People really despise Expulsum because nobody ever really knew exactly how much to price it at, but all that did was that it created this unknown factor, which means when people go to craft the items, the people that focus on it and do the maths do have those numbers, but then the average person doesn't. So it's very difficult for people to see the true value or should we say the actual crafting cost of an item, which means when you go to sell it on the auction house, the price varies a lot more, meaning ultimately we can make a lot more gold. Are you on a full realm and do you prefer that for gold making? For the most part, I pretty much have always played on a medium to high pop server. My main server, I have no issues with letting people know it's Sylvanas in the EU, which I think statistically is in the top 10 in terms of population. It's not Draenor. It's not super high population. What's that website you can check? WoW Pop or something, isn't it? Hang on. Is it just WoW population? WoW realm population. No, that doesn't seem to be it. No, I don't want WoW progress. Maybe it is WoW realm population. This one. How do you most populated European realms? Silvermoon number 1. Over 100,000 alliance characters on Silvermoon. Is there no way to like just see it in a nice list? I don't want to see it on this bullshit. I don't want to see the guilds that are on it. Alright, Silvermoon. Wow, 70,000 on this one. French server. Ravencrest. Argent Dawn. Hang on. Sylvanas. Oh really? Sylvanas is dead nowadays? Damn. What killed Sylvanas? Holy smoke. Does that mean it's oh boy. What killed Sylvanas? This used to be top 10 guild, top 10 server. Now it's barely on the list. Ooh. I mean, look, alliance characters, horde characters. There's only 7,000 active characters on Sylvanas nowadays. Hot damn. Is it? Does this list? Are this lists ones that have all been connected? Oh, I need to move some characters, you know. I want to be closer to like. So like the 10th position, Dalaran, for example, is 17,000, so that's over double. The methodology for measuring depends on the site. Check WoW Progress 2. It will give you a different indicator. Oh, really? 17,000, 18,000, 18,000, 21,000. So I guess, I suppose, yeah, until you get into top 5. But you find a lot of them in the top 5 are going to be like foreign language ones. Like virtually all of the German players are likely to play on this one just because the main language of that server is German, which is naturally going to push a hell of a lot of characters just onto the one server. I imagine that's Argent Dawn because it's got the RP, but is English. Ravencrest is also primarily English. Yeah, there you go. All of the Russian characters are going to play on this one server. That's why it's ridiculous. This is like people who've posted an auction, completed a dungeon, or done a raid in the last 2 weeks. Oh, I see. But if I remember right, lots of top guilds moved off Sylvanas. Well, that's probably why then. I always thought Sylvanas was a top 10 guild. I always thought it had like 25,000 players on it any one point, which would put it in the region of sort of Outland sort of level. But yeah, your top 10 now is Dalaran, which is 17,000. So I guess you'd say with 7,000, Sylvanas is now probably considered a medium pop server, I would guess. Looking at the top alliance list, by the way. Yeah, but you can see exactly how many Horde characters. Like Sylvanas as a server, 7,000. It's alliance dominated. There's total active characters is 7,500. But yeah, that definitely gives me the impression that a lot of people have moved off Sylvanas for some reason. Draenor Kazakh is underrepresented on this list. Whereas $107,000 Horde characters on Draenor. Yeah, I specifically selected Alliance because that's the faction I was, but and I knew that Sylvanas was Alliance dominated. Draenor, yes, has 100,000 Horde players on it active. Is there a way to make this website do all active? You can't select like both faction combined. You can only You can only select like list everything by alliance, list everything by horde. Oh, WoW progress list totals, does it? What do we look at? Characters. Realms, EU, by population. So Draenor apparently has the highest population at 27,000. Silvermoon shortly followed by 26. So yeah, you've got Draenor if you're Horde, and you've got Silvermoon if you're Alliance. Yeah, it definitely looks like WoW progress is considerably better. I wish this advert would fuck off. There we go. So where's Sylvanas on this then? Way down the bottom here. 6,200. Way off the top. Sylvanas used to be up here somewhere. So yeah, I would probably, I suppose that's interesting now. Well, I haven't played BFA. Like at the beginning of BFA, I think Sylvanas was closer to a top 10 in terms of population. But if a whole bunch of characters have moved off or just stopped playing, then yeah, this is what happens. So in theory then, I'd probably play on what's considered a medium population server right now. To go back to the original question, which I think was... I can't remember what the original question is. I think the original question was, are you on a full realm and do I prefer that for gold making? Was simply put it, yes, I prefer playing on the big population realms. You end up with a lot more competition, but if you're smart about what it is you're doing, there's a hell of a lot of a greater chance to make big gold. If you're on a high population realm, if you're on one of these top 10 here, if you've got a population above 10,000 active players on your realm, if you find a corner of the market where you've got very little competition, there's still going to be a lot of people out there, potential customers, should we say, to buy your stuff. So how many realms are connected to Sylvanas? If there are a lot, doesn't that matter? You see it shows connecteds here as well. Most of the top servers don't have any connections. But yes, it will play a little bit of a factor. But realistically, I prefer playing on I prefer gold making on a high population realm. Competition is always crazy, but there's either you just have to be more aggressive with like listing and posting auctions, or you just have to find a market that's not super competitive. Which I guess when you've got a lot more characters and a lot more professions leveled up is easier to do. If you just come in to start making gold, your options are very limited to begin with because you don't have a lot of characters, you haven't got your professions leveled up, you don't have a lot of gold to start with. If you fall into one of those categories, playing on a high population server may get quite disheartening quite quickly, because you don't have the flexibility to play in 10-15 different markets. You only have the gold to focus on one thing, and if that one thing that you focus on, if you focus on leatherworking and there's lots of competition on leatherworking, you don't have the ability to switch and change, which limits you very quickly. But long term, playing on a high population server is usually the best way to multiply your gold. And I suppose, at least for me, when you take out like the Russian servers, you take out the French servers, you take out the specific German servers, Sylvanas is probably not too far off top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, that's Spanish. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's dropped somewhat out of the top 10, but I think that's probably me just trying to justify it now, if anything else. Not sure if these sites updated properly to take that into account. So Arkandun, Jadenair, Dunmore and Sylvanas are now connected. I've definitely seen the auction house being spammed by people on Arkandun. Is that on the list? Connected to Arkandun. Only 1,000 players from that server. You'll see most of the connected realms are like Blizzard tried to start connecting them when they dropped below about 2,000-3,000 players. You'll see once you get into these ones, like some of the highest connected realms are like connected Torren Mill, 17,000. What? I don't know. I don't know how this works now. I don't know how they're working this, but it feels a bit odd. Hey ho. So yeah, playing on big servers is always fun. It's always a better way to do it, in my opinion. it's how I prefer to do it, at least. Okay, let's. Where were we at? What were we doing? Let's Deposit the reagents there. We've actually got a nice amount of these essences now since I've been doing some prospecting. We might get to make some base legendary items and level that up at some point. That's not high on my list of things to do. I do want to prospect another stack of this though. Another stack of lacerite is probably worth doing. Now, if everything goes to plan, we should get about 10... Should get about between 8 to 10 essences, I reckon, from this stack. But we should hopefully get an even distribution of the 4 essences as well. That's what I'm hoping. Too busy looting. Of course I'm too busy looting. We've not had a single essence yet. Here's me saying we should get 8 to 10 of them and we've not got a single one. This is shocking. This just shows that this is the RNG in prospecting that makes jewel crafting always profitable. Like literally always profitable. RNG at its best. Yeah, you're telling me. We've had 1 essence so far and we're halfway through the stack. By those averages, we'll only end up with 2 of the damn things. There we go, an essence of rebirth. We're getting there. Still only 2. Oh no, this is looking bad. This is not looking good at all. I'm worried now. Hey, another one. That's 3. This is why I check the prospecting rates. Like I try to do it once a week, but the difficulty means is simply the fact that it's just getting the ore in the first place. It's hard to do, like because I have to go farm it up myself. All for the purpose of testing. Oh my god, we've only had 3 essences. Wow. Okay, that was not impressive. That was not impressive at all. Well, we did another 200 lacerite. Red ones we got 23. Yellow ones we got 21. And we got 16 blue ones. Then, hang on, let's put them in the right order. Torment, something, Torment and Rebirth. Essence of Torment, we got 1. And we got 2 Rebirth. We didn't get any Servitude or Valor. So yeah, it's actually looking to be like crazy low prospecting rates on lacerite itself. That's a mad one. Sometimes I grab ore whilst questing in beta. Is there a character that I can send ore to on Torghast? If you are on Torghast and you have any spare ore or herbs, send it to this current character called Another. I think I'm on Torghast. I have characters on all the realms. Yeah, I'm on Torghast. If you have beta access and you've gathered up ore, sending it to, well, basically any one of my characters and I can send it where it needs to go. But yeah, if you've got any spare ore lying about, send it to any one of my characters. I'd be highly appreciative. The more data I can get on prospecting, the better. This I'm sure I've shared it out with you guys before. Most of you guys have probably got it. What, did I actually close that window down instead of minimizing it? I think I did. Hang on. I've done goofed. History, 6 tabs, recently closed. Here we go. Please save that data. It did, yeah. This sheet is somewhat publicly available. I link it when needed to people in the stream. It's got a whole bunch of stuff on. For you guys that may not have seen this before, It's basically my Shadowlands cheat sheet. It primarily was based to get a price of the legendary items. If you look at like cloth legendary items, for example, you can put in the cost of the shrouded cloth on your server. You can put in the cost of the enchanted silk on your server. And you can put in the price that you pay for boreal shards, bearing in mind that faction discount applies. 1,000 gold is the default. Then this will basically give you an indication of how much all of the legendaries costs. Total cost to get an item to rank 4 is 132,000 gold, based on these numbers here. There's even then the rank 4 options to show you how much it will cost a single item. So this can be helpful for your legendary. This is the reason I made the sheet, but I've also added on my prospecting table thing to help people work out the prospecting rates. Now this just generates data. This doesn't do much more than that. It just literally gives you a list of, well, if you prospect a piece of lacerite ore, you have an 8.5% chance to get an Anger's Eye, 11% chance to get an Umbral, and the more data you put into this, the more accurate it becomes. But then it's up to you guys to go, right, well, based on this information, what do I do with that information? How much do I want to pay for the ore when obviously everything goes live? There's also a similar one for milling. I've done a considerable amount more milling on the beta than I have prospecting. So I've got, these numbers are actually pretty accurate. But you guys can have this. Lord Ruin, welcome, welcome. Good to see you, my man. How's the teaching been going today? Let's share this out. Copy link. So there's a link to the Shadowlands cheat sheet. You guys can have that. Hang on, what's going on here? What's going on here? All my windows have gone funky. There we go. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much set on jewel crafting as it stands now. I think I've got everything I need to put a deep dive jewel crafting video together. Other things I wanted to look at for jewel crafting is profession combos. Mining is going to be good. Blacksmithing is going to be good. Oh, reputations. Reputations specifically for jewel crafting. What have I not learned? Court of Harvesters, honoured for the health gem. Okay, yeah, got that. Crafter's Mark 2 is revered with the Avowed. And of course then you've got to get to 60 to be base Legos. I get it, I get it. It's been a busy and frustrating, not a good start to the week. Oh dear. Mondays are never fun. Mondays are never fun. Right, I think I've got everything I need for jewel crafting now. Has anybody, before we switch to a different profession, has anybody got any final questions related specifically to jewel crafting? Of which I'll go through them now if needs be. Otherwise, we're going to switch to probably leatherworking, as that's the next profession I want to look at in detail. I'm actually going to take a quick bathroom break whilst you guys come up with questions, if you have any. So throw them in the chat. I'll take a look in a minute when I get back. But still only at 23 likes, guys. I mean, come on. For shame on all you people that have not pressed the like button. I'll go in the bathroom. Back in 2. Alrighty, we're back. Ah, you boys went to town on the like button. Thank you, very much appreciate it. Let me finish chewing my candy and then I'll answer questions. The biggest question was about the speed set with gems, but that got answered. Yep. Yeah, speed sets have kind of been a little bit hammered, considering that you can only realistically make a speed set using Shadowlands gear now. That's how it stands. So you're going to be restricted to 5 gem slots. Is it still more expensive to craft legendaries through jewel crafting than blacksmithing? Will all classes having access to rings offset the fact that they have to go for a specific gear slot? I think they've balanced it a little bit better now. There's still reason to believe that jewel crafting is going to be a little bit more expensive, simply because the way that you acquire the essences is even if we get some good prospecting rates on the essences and we can sort of say exactly what they are, the value of the essences is still quite a bit higher than what it is for like tailors, leatherworkers, or blacksmiths to craft their gear. Even with some very conservative numbers of like 500 gold per essence, you're looking at 200k to get the ring or the neck to rank 4, which is on about a similar level to what like leatherworking. Why does the plate one say male? What's going on here? Okay, I've just not changed that. Blacksmithing plate. That's what happens when you copy and paste titles from sheets. Yeah, it's now looking that jewel crafting is in line with the others. Obviously, there's the disadvantage for a jewel crafter that it only has a ring and a neck, rather than like 8 or 9 different slots. But that, yes, is somewhat offset by the fact that many of the legendary powers have ring or neck as the slots that they can go on. So hopefully it will be somewhat balanced. But it's really difficult to work out because it entirely depends on all, what is it, like 12 classes and all 40 specs and all 200 legendaries, what people do with them. So I'm thinking the ring or the shoulder exploder legendary for warriors, and which one to go through, either buying or crafting. Quite simply put, it is always going to be cheaper to just buy your base legendary item off the auction house than it is to go and craft it yourself, especially by the time you get to rank 3s and rank 4s. The fact that a single rank 4, let's say the legendary ring for example, a single rank 4 legendary ring has a crafting cost of potentially 26,000 gold. The likelihood is that on the auction house that may go for 30,000, 40,000 gold on the auction house. It's going to cost you considerably less to buy just that rank 4 off the auction house than it is to actually level up to be able to get to rank 4 by crafting. The people that put the time and the effort into leveling up their professions are doing it solely for the purpose of then crafting rank 4s and rank 3s and 2s and 1s and to be able to sell them to make their gold back. Simply crafting your own gear is going to be expensive. I think I've answered that. In your opinion, will jewel crafting be crap like in BFA, where there are too many gems for the gem slots from gears? I do worry that the base legendary items are going to make the rest of jewel crafting virtually useless. As you've seen in game here, we were getting, in fact it's probably easier to actually show you on this. I know this is world of spreadsheets right now, I apologise for that. If you look at the prospecting, I've prospected 600 lacerite ore, so only 3 stacks of ore. But I've got in total, let's say 170 gems from that, from just 3 stacks of ore. You then have to combine a few of these with jewel crafting to make the actual gems you then go on to sell. But it does mean that jewel crafters who are trying to level up their base legendary items are going to have a lot of gems spare. Now, it's difficult to say they're spare because they just come as prospecting, but the main focus for jewel crafters is going to be on prospecting to get the essences to level up their base legendary items. During that period of time, jewel crafters are going to have a lot of spare materials that they're just going to try and craft stuff with and sell to recuperate as much gold as possible. It does mean that there are likely going to be gems selling for less than their sort of crafting cost, just as jewel crafters try and recuperate as much gold from them as possible to pay for the essences and the base legendaries, if that makes sense. Thanks for the detailed response. Your videos are great. Keep up the good work. You're very welcome. I can't find any videos as detailed as yours regarding the professions, so the depth is really feeling a good wanting for Shadowlands. Well, I'm glad that's the case. Stay tuned, simply because I've not even scratched the surface of professions yet. I've done, as far as videos on the YouTubes, I've done the leveling and the quick looks. I'm now, the quick looks were like 8 to 10 minute long videos, just kind of highlighting some of the patterns that are in each profession. I'm now putting together like deep dives on each of the professions that cover everything you could ever possibly need to know about each of the professions. So if you enjoyed the quick looks and the leveling videos, then stay tuned. You'll enjoy the next few videos to come. Where did we get to? Would be nice if you could click all the recipes one by one to see the materials needed, because live has the old requirements. That's very true for all of you guys without beta. Well, that I will do later today, specifically for jewel crafting. That is kind of one of the sections of my jewel crafting deep dive, is going to be going through each item as it currently stands on the beta, so that you can see the things for that. That is coming. That is coming. Got started on a medium server and boosted a demon hunter to farm coins and leveled a warlock to 30. Good job, my man. Good job. 2 continents of candy buckets done. Boom. Drop a dab on that. So crafted blue gems are across days 7 to 14 of the expansion, are likely to be super cheap relative to the prices once the raid comes out, do I think. Especially as few people have gear with sockets by that point. Yes, definitely. If you interestingly, you don't even need to be a jewel crafter to make a lot of gold from jewel crafting in Shadowlands. That's exactly what was pointed out there. Jewel crafters specifically will want to make their base legendary items quickly, because people will start buying rank 1 in the first week, they'll buy rank 2 the next week, they'll buy rank 3 the third week, they'll buy rank 4 the fourth week. So jewel crafters have an incentive to get their base legendary items up and running really quickly. But all of the gems are not going to be in high demand until the raid comes out, as people start to they've got their world questing gear, they've done some dungeons, they've done their heroic dungeons, maybe they've done a few mythic dungeons, they're starting to farm the more out for the sockets so that they can have 5 gems in each of their gear. All of that is not going to come into effect until we're a few weeks into the game, and potentially around the time when the raid comes out is when people will start min-maxing and optimizing their gear. So yeah, the first week or so, first week or two of Dawn crafting, don't expect to make a lot of gold off selling the actual gems themselves. If anything, you should probably be looking at saving the gems that you're able to craft through prospecting yourself, or even going as far as buying some of the cheap ones up off the auction house, so that when the raid does come out and the price goes up of all of the gems, then you can make a whole bunch of gold off that. I need to do a quest chain to unlock an innkeeper. What a letdown. Eh? Oh, for your candy buckets. Oh, just ignore that one. Like, there's literally one candy bucket. That's not a problem. So, if we enjoy fighting mobs for skinning, is it better to go with enchanting and skinning to make gold by selling the enchanting mats? What do you think? And buy the base legendary items off the auction house. On a full population realm, crafted items are usually lower than the price of the mats themselves. Well, you've kind of answered your own question there, in terms of that if you feel that you can sell the materials for more than the things you then ultimately craft with them, then you're in a good spot to just sell the materials. When it comes to the base legendary items, it's like I said earlier, it's basically a situation where if you want to craft your own base legendary items, it's going to be expensive unless you also are willing to try and sell some of them at the same time to make that cost back, which then puts you in the same category as everybody else on a high pop server of trying to sell them. So it's kind of up to you. So it's a little bit difficult to answer that one, but. Right, well guys, I know I said I was going to look at another profession today, but I've actually got a thumping headache. So I'm actually going to call the stream here for today. I know it's been a slightly shorter stream than we're used to, by roughly an hour, so I apologise for that. I'll make it up later on in the week. But we've had a whole bunch of new people here today. There's been lots of new names I've noticed in the chat, so welcome to any of you if you're new to the channel. The regulars here, thank you once again for turning up. Your view time, your views on my videos, your pressing the like button is always very much appreciated. Look forward to seeing your upcoming videos. Take care, hope you feel better soon. Thank you very much, appreciate it. Later today will be the Dawn crafting deep dive. The reason I'm cutting the stream a bit earlier is so that I can go get some food, take a paracetamol, have a power nap and still get the video out for you today. That's my plan at least. So the video will be out in a few hours time once I've had time to film it, edit it, all that good jazz. Last bit of sort of self-promotion before we close the stream for today. If you want to join the coffee club, it simply gives you, if you look at Woo in the chat right now, little coffee cup symbol next to your name sort of makes you stand out a little bit in the chat. I can't directly at this point offer you any sort of massive perks or bonuses for joining the coffee club, simply because I want to try and offer all of my content possible for free. I don't really like putting things behind paywalls, but if you want to support the channel, want to support the stream, that is a really good way for you to support the channel. So if you choose to join the coffee club, big shout out to you, very much appreciate it. If not, just being here, absorbing my content, helping other people in the chat is more than the value that I need. So guys, thanks once again. I'll be back. You'll see a video later today, but I'll be back at the same time tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Peace.